Okay.
I will. Thank you. Okay, I'm ready. It's just 12 o'clock.
That clock is wrong. I know you were just looking at your phone.
It's just 12 o'clock. I don't look at the time when I'm on my phone.
All right. Today is yoga for stress. So our particularly slow, gentle releasing of stress class. We stay on our mat. So start to come down onto your back, whether you bring your feet down, knees up, or flat on your back, whatever is most comfortable. The theme of this week is surrender. And we're going to look at it a little bit different today. So as you start to land on your mat, take the time to really feel yourself on the ground and see how many muscles you can let go of. And we're going to think about self-worth. So one of the biggest stumbling blocks we often have to true surrender and letting go is that feeling of self-worth. So today we're going to work with self-worth, and I have a reading from Pixie Lighthorse that I'm going to read about self-worth. So as you start to land on the ground, repeat to yourself, I am worthy. And what does that bring up for you? Maybe it's easier for you to say, maybe it's not. Can you say it with conviction? Can you say it as if you really mean it? And then if you're struggling with that even, say it the way that you would say it to a dear friend. Say it with that kind of compassion and conviction. Say you have a dear friend, a loved one that is struggling. How kindly would you treat them? How passionately would you tell them that they are worthy? And then try to extend that loved one sensation to yourself. I am worthy. I am worthy. And then if it's comfortable for you, warm your hands and bring them to your torso. So make your hands nice and warm and bring them onto your stomach. So our stomach is often the place where we physically feel tension and emotions. Think about butterflies in the stomach. Oftentimes it all starts in this space. So connect to the warmth of your hands. Imagine the warmth of your hands as like a soft hug, softening this space. And notice what is present emotionally. Trying not to label, trying not to judge, trying not to decide whether you should or should not feel something, but just notice. Emotions are filters for our environment. They're just information for how our system is doing. If it helps, you can start to imagine a kind of a visual swirling of energy in this space and just allowing it to move. Perhaps allowing it to move a little more softly, a little more freely, without that clamping down and grasping and restricting. And then you can leave your hands here if they're comfortable. We're going to bring our feet to the ground, knees up if they're not already there. And take a little side sway with the knees and hips, just making sure the low back is soft. And then land the hips neutral, and we're just going to roll over the sacrum. So a little tilt of the pelvis up and down, just starting to feel what is present in our hips and our low back. This is not a huge muscular pull. We're just trying to move softly and mindfully and feel what is present in our hips. Bring your pelvis to neutral. We'll go your feet to the outsides of your mat. And we're going to take our knees all the way over to the right. Allow the left knee to really come towards center. And just kind of feel what's present. Feel the front of the left hip. Notice if there are any other strange pulls as the left knee pulls towards the center. And slowly bring the knees all the way over to the right. Let the right knee fall towards the center. Notice what's present. And then little soft sways, slow, 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 going left and right. Just kind of feeling what is there on your legs, in your hips, in your low back. Just noticing what seems to be holding, what seems to be grasping. And throughout practice, if it's helpful to you to close your eyes so that you can better tune in to your muscles and what's going on inside, then your option is always there for you to close your eyes and tune in. Wiggle your feet back to about hip width apart. Land your feet on the ground and start to press the heels into the ground. So press the heels into the ground, then pull the toes up and spread the toes wide. Start to fire up the legs. Notice any other places in the body that start to tense. Notice your low back, notice your neck, your face. And then we're going to pull our balls of our feet up and then lower them down, trying to connect with the muscles of our legs. Nice and slow. Inhale, lift, exhale, press the feet down. Trying to work our legs, and if we notice that our back seems to be super tight and doing a lot of work, change the position of your feet. Maybe they need to be a little further from the glutes or a little closer. Just change and experiment. Lifting the balls of our feet, still pressing down through the heels. So trying to stay very active through the legs and find the muscles of the feet. And then pull the balls of the feet up, hold the balls of the feet up, still pressing through the legs, the heels. Bring the toes to the right and to the left. Teeny movement, not moving anything else, right and left. Should feel outsides of the shins. Still trying to keep that press through the heels. We're locating some of those stabilizer muscles.
I love it when you do that. That's really my favorite thing.
So as you're doing this, notice if one way feels weaker. So if you turn the foot in, so when you're turning your right foot in, does it feel harder to do this? Or when you go outside, does it feel harder? Typically one side's weaker than the other. So start to notice, really check in. And then let your feet come down. Everything gets soft. And then tap your feet out. Tap your feet out. Kayla's throwing a tantrum because she hates working with stabilizer muscles. And then bring your hips, feet, everything neutral. So check in on the low back. Nice and soft. Everything neutral. Watch for neck. We're going to take left foot onto the ground. Stays down nice and stable. If you like, you can place your hands on your hips to make sure you stay stable. Lift the right leg and hold it above the hip. So knee above the hip, feet in line with the knee. Start to make this leg active. So hold it here, hang out. Notice if this is tiring. And we're going to pull the right heel out without moving the thigh to the right and then back. So again, working with those stabilizer muscles, trying to keep the hips still. Little pull of the ankle, out and then in. Heel out and then in. Notice if you're compensating anywhere. Chicken, soft neck, soft face. Move with your breath.
How do I not move my? Oh, it is allowed to move. But okay, never mind.
What? How do you not move your what?
Never mind.
What were you trying to move?
I was gonna say how do you not move your thigh, but then I looked. It's.
I mean, so here. So this is moving the leg. This is moving the thigh around, right?
Yeah.
So the movement, you want to keep the thigh fairly stable. The muscles are still going to move, but you don't want them to be the main actors in the game.
Okay. I was gonna say the bone's still moving. I can't stop that.
Then take the right ankle, cross it just underneath the left knee. Press the right knee away from you. So start to feel hips grounded. Press right knee away from you with the muscles of the legs. Then you can pull up the left toes. Start to feel what is present in the hip. And then if you lifted left toes, lower them down. You can take slow, slow, slow ankle circles with the right foot. Right foot, right foot. And then back in the other direction. So slow. We're not rolling through the joint. Trying to feel the muscles that make the movement happen. And then point the toes and pull the toes back. Point and pull them back. And then return the right foot to the ground, knee up, take a little side sway, and take a moment to notice left and right sides. They should feel different. Stabilize the hips. So keep an eye on the hips stay on the ground. Left leg lifts, knee over hip, foot in line with knee. Set up your base first, and then pull the heel out and in, out and in. So pull the heel out without moving the leg too much. This is moving the knee around to get the heel further. I'm also lifting the hip off the ground. When everything's stable, and just focus on below the knee. And just to let you know, Kaylee, we're working our way up, so guess what's coming?
What?
Well, we started low legs. Where's next?
Shh.
Take the left ankle and cross it just, so it's just above the left ankle, just below the right knee. Cross over. Press the left knee away from you. Active leg. Feel your hips. And then slow circles with the left foot. And then back in the opposite direction. And then point and pull back. Return the left foot to the ground and take that tap again. Notice how your legs feel. Try to soften and loosen, let go the muscles of the legs, tapping, tapping, tapping. And then wiggle left to right. So wiggle pushing into the heels. The weight adjusts left to right with your hips. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Try and get everything nice and soft. And then land. How does everything feel? Notice what is present. We're going to work with the neck while we're on the ground. So nice and mindful and very slow and careful when we work with the neck. And no, we didn't skip the hips. The hips come when we turn over. Press the back of your skull into the ground. As you do this, notice your chin. See if your chin is pointing to the ceiling and you have a soft curve in your neck. When you press the back of your head in the ground, it's not a weightlifting competition to see how hard you can press. It's just a gentle press so that you can start to feel the muscles in your neck. Take any hand, place it on your forehead, and a little tiny press of your hand, almost as if you can feel a connection between where your hand touches your forehead and your head touches the ground. Can you let everything else go, especially the muscles of the jaw? A few deep breaths, really trying to let the pressure go around your jaw. Release your hand from your forehead, place it wherever it's comfortable. And with that slight press of the back of your head into the ground, take your chin over to your right shoulder. Land here, notice where you stop. What stops you? Where is the tension? Notice and feel, and only a little gentle press. We work with the neck, we don't want to strain. We want to just find the muscles of the neck, connect with them, and then breathe into where they seem to be holding tension. Press your left shoulder down into the ground a little bit. See if you get a little more space. And then slowly bring your head back to neutral. Check on your chin. And then with the little press into the ground, take your chin over to the left side. Breathe into what is held. Gentle press of the right shoulder into the ground, maybe a little more space. And bring the chin back to neutral. Check on the chin, see if that natural curve is still there on your neck. See if you can soften your neck. So maybe give your neck a squeeze and then let it go. See if it gets a little softer. We're going to press the shoulders into the ground. So press the shoulders actively into the ground. When you do this, see which other muscles are trying to do the movement. Check on your glutes. Check on your low back. Check on the muscles of your jaw. See if you can just press the shoulder blades down into the ground using only your back muscles, your upper back muscles. So press the muscles that work with the shoulder blades and nothing else. Everything else soft. See if you can do it. Notice if this is hard, it might show you some of your compensation patterns. It might show you where you're holding tension and where some of those patterns in your body. Take a deep breath in, and with exhale, loosen and soften. Let your shoulders just land. Let your body land and soften. We're going to move with our breath through the upper back. So our hips are going to roll naturally. We don't want any tension around the hips and the low back. We want to be as soft as possible and just let them roll. We don't want to pull into any bones or any joints. We're going to take our arms wide, palms up, so even with the shoulders, lying like a T on the ground. We're going to inhale, open, exhale, take left hand all the way over to the right hand and pause. Let your head roll, let your shoulders roll where they do. Make the movement come from in between the shoulders. Inhale, open. Exhale over to the other side. So nice, slow flow, moving with your breath. Thinking about freeing up your upper back and shoulders. Try and let your head roll. Try and let your neck be soft and your low back be soft. And watch for your stomach or your glutes doing the work. Inhale, open. Exhale, over. So many times when we have tightness and tension, the bigger muscle groups do all the work. Make it harder for us to connect to certain spaces.
Land open with your arms open wide, palms up. See if your shoulders feel like they landed a little more into the ground. Check on your chin, check on the tension in your neck, check on your low back. Notice how it feels to have your arms open wide and your palms up. Bring all your awareness to the center of your chest and imagine that you could soften in this space. So we softened upper back, soften between the shoulders. Now check in on the opposite side in the center of the chest and see if there's holding, especially with your arms open wide. Check in and notice. Can you imagine a softness starting at the center of your chest and slowly spreading over your shoulders, down your arms, up your neck? And this here as a form of surrender in the physical body. How much can you let go of? And try not to cognitively answer, but just feel your physical body in space. Where is the tension and how can you let it go? Maybe you can imagine more fresh breath going to where you are tight. Maybe you're a more visual person and you imagine a healing, warming, or cooling ball of energy resting on that spot. If you feel particularly inflamed, maybe your ball of energy would be more beneficial to be cool. If you prefer to be warmed, maybe it's a warm ball of energy. Open, soften, and surrender, let go. And then very mindfully and slowly bring your knees in towards the chest. Give yourself a little hug. And roll on over to a side. Come on up to a tabletop position.
No.
And I promised Kayla I wouldn't forget hips.
Looks like Shavasana time.
Not even close. I think we just started. Find your tabletop and we're going to move and breathe in our tabletop. Option to keep the toes tucked and work through the feet because we warmed up the feet. Inhale, exhale back to child's pose.
Exhale Shavasana.
Inhale forward.
Inhale Shavasana.
Exhale child's pose. Move with your breath. Notice what is present. Land in a comfortable child's pose. So pick the version that works for you. If your head is not close to the ground, try placing two fists, one on top of the other, and then your forehead down. Or alternatively, you can use a block. We usually use a block with an eye pillow on it just to make it a little softer. So rest and feel this point in the center of your forehead. And imagine you could let all of the weight of your skull land in this point. So let all the tension go from your neck, from holding your skull. Find your breath. And let go. Slowly come back to tabletop position. Set up your base nice and strong. So make room for your wrists, not buckling in the shoulders, pulling up out of the ground. Nice steady base first. We're going to take the right leg, even with the hip. Hold the right leg up. Notice if it feels heavy. Notice if you buckled in your back. So really find some strength. Keep yourself stable. Hold your leg up. Press through the right heel. Bend the knees slowly, little pulses to the heel to the ceiling with only the leg moving. So not buckling through the back, just little pulses through the heel. Bring the right knee slowly towards the right shoulder. So bring the right knee over and around, hold here. Lift the heel up out of the ground.
I said, and give up.
Lift the heel up out of the ground. Left hand can move a little bit more left to help stabilize you, just to help you keep your balance up. Pull the knee up, little pulses, little tiny pulses, legs strong and active. Take the leg back even with the hips. Lower the toes. Press through the heel, pulses are static. Take the tension out of the neck. Return the right knee and find a stable base. So make sure your base is nice and strong, your shoulders are strong, everything is solid. Take the left leg even with the hip. Hold here, press through the left heel. Breathe. Bend the left leg, little pulses of the heel to the ceiling without the back moving. And then slowly bring the knee towards the left shoulder. Hold. Strong here. Really fire up the leg, fire up the glutes. Lift up out of the ground. Little pulses. So watch for this movement coming through the hips and a lot of shaking and moving going around in your sacrum, your low back space. Right arm can come out to the right to help balance and stabilize you. Take the leg even with the hip, lower the toes, press through the heel. And take the tension out of the neck. Slowly lower the left leg. We're going to take the hips in slow circles. Nice, slow circles. It's as if you're trying to feel every part of the circle. Slow. And then back in the opposite direction. Bring it back to tabletop. Tuck the toes, and we're going to hover the knees. So make sure you're stable in the shoulders, not buckling. So lifting up out of the ground, nice and strong in the arms and
I
chest.
think that counts as getting off your mat.
Lift and hover your knees. We're not standing, it's not getting off your mat.
It's like how down dog counts as getting off your mat. It counts as getting off your mat.
Lift your knees, option to stay here, or you're going to pull your knees apart and close together. Small, tiny movements. We're not flopping around in space. We're trying to find the muscles that stabilize us.
I don't like that you're making me get off my mat soon.
Breathe. Complaints are optional. So really find these
stabilizing muscles. Strengthen them. Because then it's easier for the bigger muscle groups to take breaks. And then lower the knees, child's pose. Surrender. See if you can find that spot for your forehead. Maybe 2 hands. Maybe your block. What can you let go of? Slowly come up through tabletop and lower to crocodile. So stomach all the way down. One head on top of the other, forehead down. Once you get here, shimmy the hips. Loosen and soften. So loosen and soften. Find that point in your forehead. See what you can let go of and see what comes up in this pose. This pose is not an easy pose for everyone. And some days it may be harder than others. So notice what comes up when your back is vulnerable and your chest is a little compressed. And then bring all your awareness back to that center point of your chest. And imagine the ground is supporting this space. So we're doing the opposite of what we did when we began class. Imagine your chest is supported. Imagine you can let your rib cage fall heavier and heavier into the ground. And then find the opposite of the center of your chest on your back. So right in the center of your upper back, just below the shoulder blades. Now imagine softness spreading from this space what can you let go of? And then we'll work with a little strengthening of the back and then a little freeing movements. So begin by placing your hands where it's comfortable to balance. And we're going to think about lifting our shoulders. So fire up the back of our legs and our glutes and our back muscles first. So see if you can squeeze and find your back muscles. And then we're going to inhale, lift the shoulders, and exhale, lower. Not thinking about getting high. So not super archy and tall off the ground, but getting up off the ground and then lengthening it. Maybe lifting the toes. Trying to find all of the muscles at the back. Watch for tension forming into the neck. Watch for yanking your skull backwards. Think about getting longer through the crown of the head. And then bring it back down to crocodile. Shimmy, soften. What can you let go of? This time we're going to take our hands wide, place the palms of our hands down, and we're going to move through upper back and shoulders, experimenting with our own holding patterns. So not lots of muscular gripping, fairly soft with our muscles. We inhale, lift. Exhale, draw our shoulder to midline and turn and look at the foot. Inhale, lift. Exhale, draw the other shoulder to midline, turn and look at the other foot. So moving slow, turning, looking. Think about all the times that you turn and look. Perhaps when you reverse the car, you turn and look at these funny angles. Think about opening up this space, freeing movement, having an experience in your own holding patterns. And then bring it back to midline and place the forearms down on the ground. So ahead of the shoulders, lots of space. Place your forearms down and then little pull. So as if you're trying to pull the elbows apart and the hands apart without letting them move. And then think about a little pull of your sternum. So pull the center of your chest a little bit through towards your hands. Think about lengthening. Watch for any gripping in the low back. Think about maybe pressing the tops of your feet down into the ground to make a little bit more space. And we're going to do a cleansing breath. So think about letting go in our throat. And before doing this, close your eyes and imagine all the things that you've said that you've later regretted being little lumps in your throat. Try not to think of exactly those words or bring memories to mind. Just think about a visual of lumps in your throat. And then think about all the times that you've held your tongue and you think perhaps you should have said something, and those are also lumps in your throat. And think about your throat being filled with tension and lumps. And then we're going to do lion's breath with a ha sound. So we inhale deeply, we ha out with our tongue stuck out, really trying to open up our back of our throat and cleanse our throat with our breath. We do this 3 times and then come back to crocodile pose and notice any sensations that come up. So take a deep breath in to prepare. Come on down to crocodile pose. Focus on that center point of your forehead. Release, surrender, let go, and notice what is present. Slowly work your way over to your back. And before Kaylee pipes up, no, it's not quite Shavasana time.
Just about to say Shavasana.
So work your way to your back where you started. What is different? Notice, feel. What do you feel? How does your physical body feel? How does your energy feel? How does your breath feel in your body? We're going to think about tension in our face and in our jaw. We're going to use the tips of our fingers and we're going to place them above our temples. And we're just going to gently pull the skin towards the top of our skull. So as if you're trying to give yourself a facelift, basically. So fingertips above the temples, not on, and then a gentle tug. And then slowly let your fingers slide towards the top back of your skull. So on the top of your skull, and then towards the back. Start again. Place the fingers just above the temples. The thumbs can be right around where the jaw meets. Little press. Pull the skin as if you're trying to give yourself a facelift. And then gently tug your fingers back to the back of your skull. And one more time, right above the temples, little tug. And then pull back. You can press pretty firm on the skull if that feels good for you. There are lots and lots of nerve endings in our skull. And then place your fingertips in the hair and move your fingers around in little circles. So imagine the best head massage you ever got at a hairdresser. They have firm fingers and they really massage the scalp. Think about that and make little circles in on your own scalp. Really firm, nice pressure, feeling your scalp. Sometimes we hold a lot of tension up in our skull. So feel around, make little circles. Give yourself a head massage. And then take your fingertips and place them either side, so not near the spine, either side of your spine on the back of your neck, on the back of your skull. Where your skull meets your spine, there's two little notches here. Place your fingertips here, and then gentle circles. So mindful not to rub on the spine. On either side of the spine where the skull has those two little notches. And if this feels good, maybe just holding. You can place your fingertips here and let your weight of your head drop into your fingertips, or continue with the little circles. Notice your jaw while you're holding this space or while you're circling in this space. Sometimes the pressure of holding our jaw moves all the way back into this space. If you are holding your fingers, you can wiggle your head just side to side a little teeny bit, adjusting the pressure on your fingers. So it's like giving yourself a little massage. And then let your head find the ground, your arms release. Move your chin side to side, nice and slow. Just feel what is present in your neck. Then we're going to take two fingers, first finger, second finger, place them where upper and lower jaw meet and make little soft circles here. And then take those two fingers, place them right in between, so right on the edges of your eyebrow. So right top edge, inner edge of your eyebrow. Push up into the center of the forehead and then down across the forehead, not to the temple. So just imagine that common wrinkle line that people get across the center of the forehead. It's obviously where you have wrinkles, you have tension. So you're looking to press up and then follow that wrinkle line as if you're trying to smooth it out. Even if you do not have this wrinkle line, you often have unknown tension here. So we often carry tension here that we're not even aware of. And then just one hand between the eyes and then press up to the hairline. Release the hand. Pick up your shoulders off the ground and let them flop a little more. Maybe a couple of times. See if you can get them a little more into the ground, maybe some wiggles. Move the chin side to side and make sure the neck is beginning to soften. And then we're going to make a decision about where we want to be for our final resting pose. So yes, it's Shavasana time. So maybe you want to have props. I'm going to prop Kaylee up. Kaylee likes a bolster. Oh, she she got really ready for me. She likes the cushion under her back. Bolster underneath her knees so that her low back can soften. Feet are touching the ground when you do this. So have something in underneath your feet so your feet don't feel like they're falling in space. When our body feels like it's falling in space, some kind of muscular gripping will often happen to try and protect. So have support. Whole body support. Wherever you're landing, whatever props you're using, try to be fully supported. This is not a stretch pose. The stretching is done. Try and soften and loosen. Find your breath. Notice which muscles move with your breath. And then see if you can soften control of even these muscles. Soften the muscles of the face. Soften the mouth. Soften the tongue in the mouth. Soften around the eyes. Soften the hands, surrender and let go of what you are holding. And then soften around your thoughts. So softening around our thoughts, what does that mean? It's not that we empty our mind and we battle with our mind and the constantly firing network in our brain. It's that we soften around the fight. We let the brain take, the cognitive mind, take a break. So we allow it to soften. Stop battling, stop categorizing. Allow the thoughts to fire. Notice that you can notice your thoughts. And notice the one that watches. So if you can notice your thoughts, does that not mean that you are something a little more than just your thoughts? You are this whole human experience, experiencing the thoughts. Not just a physical body, not just some thoughts, not just an ego, not just your emotions. There's that little something more that ties it all together.
So quietly drawing around down towards your heart center, your spiritual center. As your thoughts pull you away off the mat, try to notice where in your physical body perhaps regain some tension. And begin again softening from the physical body. And then softening away from the distractions and thoughts. And then think about that I am from the start of class. I am worthy. Maybe say it a couple of times to yourself, thinking about I am worthy, trying to experience I am worthy, not what that means, not cognitively processing what you would have to be worthy, but just experiencing the concept. I am worthy. That's the sentence, that's it. Nothing else. I am worthy. I'm going to read from Pixie Lighthorse. She has a wonderful way of writing things that I think is very kind and beautiful. And as with anything that we read, take what you need, leave what you don't. Honoring worth. Thank you for this day of knowing my value. It is not for others to reflect my merits back at me. You have tried to transmit this to me many times, but it is hard to hear and easily forgotten. Please help me remember that it is a miracle to be here, and that to disregard the miracle is to misunderstand life. Each of us has a purpose, and we don't have to be in full comprehension of that to earn our place here. Drum into my cells that I get to be here without anxiety, that I am enough. I am enough. Expand my limits for accepting my majestic existence. Let me hang the medals of honor on my own jacket and stop questioning whether I have enough or give enough. Open me to my flaws and imperfections, because my obsession with perfection is killing my spirit and my faith in love. When hunger for external affirmation is insatiable, it complicates and compromises my relationships. Help me to let my people off the hook for needing to scout the ideal words that will lead to my fulfillment. Freedom from inaccurate beliefs about myself is between you and me. Help me discover how I can be most useful, knowing that my significance is not rooted in my doing. Remove thoughts that I am burdensome or a hindrance to those around me, and that my gifts will not be appreciated. Help me create a meaningful life that brings dignity to my spirit and establishes trust with you that I am on the right path. When I am dependent on others, let me seek self-sufficiency in order to keep my relationships in balance. Help me define the value of how I show up and what I contribute. Let me understand that contributions are not synonymous with currency, and that lives cannot be measured in dollars. When I am honoring my missions, direct me back to them. When I am not honoring my missions, direct me back to them. Point my generosity and kindness facing outward. Knowing that everything flows from me creates a ripple effect. Remind me that it is possible to create unworthiness in others when I set unfair and impossible standards for myself. Let adequate and good enough be sufficient despite my efforts for excellent. Highlight my benevolence because big-heartedness is what I will be remembered for above all. Help me to know and trust that I am a beneficial organism in the great cosmic layout. So maybe taking a little more time to think about your heart center, your spiritual self, speaking to the rest of yourself and reminding you that you are worthy. If it helps, you can repeat, I am worthy. I am worthy. And repeat it until you have that feeling. And maybe pause and soften and let it expand. And when the thoughts draw you away, distractions come in, begin again. I am worthy. I am worthy. Notice what the ego pipes up to say. Notice that the ego often has all these memories or judgments or things to throw in at you just to complicate the process because the ego is frightened. The ego has experience and memory. And try to let your spiritual self, your heart center, soften the ego, comfort the ego. Surrender the burden of judgment. Surrender the burden of perfection. And just be you. If you have the time to take practicing this and staying in your resting pose, please take as much time as you can. If you need to finish up at the 60-minute mark, we are coming right up on that. So begin to bring gentle movements to the fingers and the toes, and if you're not already there, slowly, with careful, quiet movement, make your way to a fetal position and curl up in a ball. Imagine being wrapped in a ball of comforting, compassionate energy. And surrender what is held in the physical body. Being kind and compassionate with yourself. If you notice things that feel like they don't want to soften yet, they're not ready, be patient. Sometimes Our barriers and our protections need a little more time. It takes practice to soften and surrender. It takes time to heal. And the more often that we come to these building blocks of softness and surrender, the easier it becomes because we have these familiar patterns to build upon. So as you come to a seated position, bring your hands to heart space. Another familiar pattern we end our practice in. Take a moment to feel like you came up a little lighter, a little softer. Maybe your shoulders are lighter, maybe your hips feel lighter, maybe your head feels lighter. And then connect to bringing your left and right sides to meet in front of your heart, accepting yourself as whole and complete, precisely as you are. And then from this worthy self, this compassionate self that you've created today, send it out into your world. Allow it to expand. Maybe you have someone in mind you'd like to wrap in compassion and make them believe that they are worthy, make them feel they are worthy. Or maybe you'd just like to send out this compassion and kindness and patience in general. Imagine it a color or temperature, some kind of visual coming out, expanding from your heart center. Knowing that we grow our heart center, our spiritual strength, so that we can share it. And the more that we share it, the more that it's recharged. We do the self-work so that we can be of service. May all beings be peaceful and at ease. Thanks for joining us.